Boy, the Biden administration really wants you to believe the economy is fine, nothing to see here, everything is great, you are living the good life. And yet, there's plenty of indicators that say that is not the case at all, and a nasty recession is on the way. In fact, Mark Spiegel of Stanley Capital just released a new investor note that I want to kind of go through here before we get into our Q&A part of the show, where you're able to leave us a voicemail question. We answer it here on the show. So they just released his most recent investor letter, and he's very, very smart. Mark is very, very smart. And one of the things he's talked about is the fact that we still have this large, really a large consensus that there is a massive recession coming, and it's going to be nasty. So they've been betting big internally in their investments. They've been shorting SPY. They're short positions in that. They really think the stock market is in for a big pain in the butt over the next few months. And really, it's this first half of the year where we're going to see this problem here. And specifically, he says that not yet arriving isn't the same as not arriving, meaning it hasn't come yet, doesn't mean it's not coming. It absolutely is. He strongly believes that a recession will appear in the first half of this year, and the expensive stock market will suffer severely from it. And he says the consensus is now for either no landing at all, like a total falling out of the sky collapse, or a soft landing. But it is coming. So when you think about your family and you think about your investments, this is, again, why I'm such a big real estate investor. This is why I believe in owning tangible assets. When you hear warnings like this, how do you prepare for it? How do you move your money? Do you have money sitting right now in a bank account? Do you have money sitting in the stock market? Where do you have your money? Be prepared. He says even before the worst recession, the consensus is nearly always for a soft landing. Nearly the consensus is soft landing. But he's saying right now, he really believes the U.S. economy is headed for a hard landing. Hard landing. Stock market has been rallying fiercely recently in the past few weeks, lessening inflation, of course, which is a natural predecessor, he says, of a hard landing that he expects. So, again, what do you do with your money right now? Maybe this is why we've had so many clients right now who are trying to move money out of the stock market, trying to move it into hard assets like real estate, into precious metals, to be able to protect themselves right now. That's certainly what my wife and I have been doing, acquiring additional properties over the past few weeks because of this very reason, and making sure that we're not too heavily sat right now in any kind of stock position on Wall Street because of what's coming. In fact, he even talks about it at Tesla. He thinks there's, the Tesla stock's like 80. It's going to go down like 80%. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm anticipating something. Soft landing, hard landing, you take your pick of it. We've been predicting that there is going to be a recession in the first half of this year, arguably the first quarter of this year. So we'll see. We'll see if Mark is right. He's just one of a number of economists and analysts that I trust in this. So let us know what you think in this. All right, today's our Q&A episode. You're able to ask questions about real estate investing, the economy, whatever else is on your mind, and we attempt to answer it here on the show. Let's take our first question from Mike.
Hi, Clayton. Hey, I love your book, How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years. Hey, I'm having a hard time finding any bank that knows anything about a HELOC checking account. Any chance you can help me find one or two banks in the Arkansas area that can help me with this? Thank you, Michael Pennington.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much. So, in fact, I just heard from our good friend Dan Kraus down there at Churchill Mortgage, he's in Tennessee, but he handles, he's able to help like pretty much nationwide. I think almost in all 50 states now, close to it anyway. Can probably definitely help you in Arkansas to get you answers on the home equity line of credit situation and getting that set up. Again, he's not an affiliate of ours or anything. He's just a friend, and he does fantastic work. But he sent me a note the other day about home equity lines of credit, and of course, even getting the home equity line of credit with your LLC in your business name for your rental property. So yeah, my friends down at Churchill Mortgage, ask for Dan Kraus. Tell him Clayton sent you. He at least can point you in the right direction. Again, I know trying to get some of these home equity lines of credit can be a little difficult sometimes because you're just hitting a wall. Like you're asking a few banks, they just don't do it. And then it takes a little bit of time to find the right one, depending on where you are in the country. So hopefully Dan can point you in the right direction That would be my suggestion there. And if you've hopefully, or if you've exhausted all of your local banks, your local credit unions, talking to every one of them as well first. That would be my first start, and then talk to Dan as well. He can try to help you in the right direction with that as well. Okay, our next question comes to us from Jennifer, I believe.
Hi, we have a rental company that we purchased a rental property through. And I was wondering, is it possible to get a HELOC through that rental company, or do we have to have one of our names on it instead?
Okay, I'm a little confused here, Jennifer. So you bought a property through a rental company. So I'm a little confused about how the rental company is even still involved in this equation. Now, I have heard some of our competitors out there do this where they will have you go in on an LLC with them. So you're like partnering with them in a property purchase, which I've always warned against. Like, I think that's a terrible idea. But, hey, you do you. If you feel comfortable, like they're going to sell you a house, but you don't get to fully buy the house. You have to go in on an LLC with the company to order to buy the house. Okay. It's the same kind of people that like make you buy a home above the appraised value as well. Like, that's to me a big red flag. Anyway, that's just a little sidebar rant. I've done whole videos on how try to avoid that at any costs if you can. But so I'm a little unclear. You bought a property from a rental company. Again, they should be out of the picture. You own the property, right? So presumably you or your LLC owns this property 100%. And then you're trying to get a home equity line of credit, or you're trying to get some through them, through the rental company. They're not a bank, so I don't think that's a smart move to even bark up that tree. Again, I would just either go jump on lendingtree.com, or again, reach out to my friend Dan Krause at Churchill Mortgage and try to line up getting a home equity line of credit. I'm going to listen to this call again. I want to hear, just make sure I didn't miss something here. Let's listen to this one again, Jennifer.
Hi, we have a rental company that we purchased a rental property through. And I was wondering, is it possible to get a HELOC through that rental company, or do we have to have one of our names on it instead?
Okay. So you don't have to have your name on the property. It can be your LLC. So if hopefully you bought the property in a company name, you bought it in an LLC. And the whole reason you're doing it is not for taxes. Again, the whole reason you're buying a property in an LLC is for liability protection, right? Now, if it's in your own name and a tenant slips and falls, what happens, right? They can sue not only you, but they can get access to all of your assets and everything else, right? So that's why we own properties in LLCs, right? So no, the short answer is no, you don't have to have it in your own name in order to get a home equity line of credit. As I just mentioned a moment ago, Churchill Mortgage, they'll be able to set you up with a home equity line of credit that is if it's in an LLC. You don't have to have it in your own name. The short answer. But the longer answer is I'm a little concerned about this relationship with this rental company that you bought the property from. Like, are they still in the picture? Because that to me is weird. Okay, if they're still in the picture somehow, why? I'd want to understand that a little bit better. Maybe you can even have a follow-up call, Jennifer, and we'll play your voicemail here on the show, because I'm curious. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are curious about that too. Like, what is this relationship with this rental company? Again, if they're still on the LLC, if they still have some sort of a partial ownership in the property, that's what I'm worried about. Okay, to be honest with you, that's what I'm worried about. So anyway, I hope that's not the case. Hopefully I just misunderstood your question here. Even though I listened to it twice, I'm still a little foggy. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, next question.
Hi, Clayton. My name is Kristen. I currently own a rental property that is in my name, and I am just learning now about self-directed IRAs, and I was thinking about purchasing the property and putting it into the self-directed IRA. Is this possible? Is this something I can do? And do you think it would be beneficial? Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks for that question. So you're asking me a self-directed IRA question. You own the property right now in your own name, which we'll get back to that in a second. Okay, so this is a rental property owned in your own name, and now you want to try to transfer it into your self-directed IRA. That's what's known as self-dealing. Okay, that's one of the prohibited transactions that you're not able to partake in as it relates to self-direction. So you can't lend money to yourself. You can't lend money to your sister. You can't lend money to your husband. You can't basically be involved at that level of self-dealing. So because you own it in your own name, and even if you owned it in your own LLC, it would still be self-dealing. So this is why this needs to be something that happens beforehand, before you ever touch it. You're just not allowed to even touch the property. Because if you're buying a rental property in your self-directed IRA in the future, you can't really touch it at all. Your IRA, through the custodian, will own the property. It'll pay the taxes out of the IRA account. Any fixing up you need to do will come out of that IRA account. You can't be involved. You can't do the renovations on the property. You can't be involved. So hopefully that helps you understand that a little bit more. But let me come back to that question about you owning the property in your own name. Look, I'm not a lawyer, okay, but I will tell you, owning it in your own name, it's only a matter of time. The reason you don't own it in your own name and you put it into an LLC is because of liability protection. It's not a matter of if something's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Someone walks by your property, slips and falls on the ice, decides to sue the owner of this house. Oh, that happens to be the rental property that I own in my own name. So now that person can sue not only, you, then get access to everything you have in your family, your assets that you've been putting away, your kids' college money, whatever. Come after all of it. So that's why we want to have it separated out into an LLC. That way it's protected and limited by that limited liability company. It's for liability protection only. So my advice, okay, if I own this rental property, I would absolutely want to have it in an LLC. I would not want it in my own personal name for liability protection. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Thank you guys for all of your great questions here on the show. Please go to our website, go to morrisinvest.com, leave us a voicemail question, and we will try to answer it here on this show. Thank you guys so much. Now go out there, take action, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build and protect your wealth. We'll see you next time.